The thing that first caught Petty Officer Liam Reyes's attention wasn't anything dramatic. It wasn't the way the jets gleamed in the morning light, or the sound of the turbines spinning up through cold air. It was how clean the landing gear struts were. Too clean. Dustless, down to the weld seams. Not factory clean, familiar clean. Like someone had gone over them with bare hands. Not because they had to. Because they knew how. Reyes didn't say anything at first. He just logged it. His F/A-18 was bird number 306, not the newest on the strip, not the worst. She flew straight, kicked hard, and always came back dry. Reyes had only been chief on her for 3 weeks. Every morning, he'd run the same startup diagnostics, hydraulics, avionics, seals, canopy lock, radar sync. Every time, green. Too green. No one else seemed to notice. Or if they did, they chalked it up to luck. But Reyes didn't believe in luck on a flight deck. He believed in hands, and someone else's were on this plane. One night, Reyes stayed behind after official lights out, said he was logging fluid levels, brought a thermos, dragged out the check tablet, but didn't touch it. He just sat on the tail stairs, watching the strip. For a while, nothing. Then, just past 0200, the hangar side door opened. No alarm. No lights. Just a shadow crossing the tarmac, moving slow. Like he knew exactly which concrete seams to avoid so his boots wouldn't echo. The man wore an old green jumpsuit. No patches. No rank. He carried nothing but a rag and a penlight. He walked to 306 like he'd built her himself. Reyes didn't move. Didn't speak. Just watched. The man laid his hand flat against the nose cone. Closed his eyes. Then, slowly, ran his palm along the surface. Like he was feeling for something deeper than metal. He paused by the intake. Looked at a bolt. Adjusted it. Wiped the edge of the cone ring. Then kept moving, silent as the sea. He never looked up. Never noticed Reyes watching. Or maybe, he did. And didn't care. The next morning, Reyes logged everything as usual. Nothing off. Except the fuel gauge, recalibrated. He hadn't done that. And no one had recorded the adjustment. He checked the record logs. No entries between 1900 and 0600. Nothing in the digital stamp. No badge swipes. But the bolt that held the nose cap under the radome, the one most people forgot existed, had been turned exactly half a rotation. Just like the man's hand had done. At chow that evening, Reyes asked the senior mechanic offhand, "You ever see a guy in a green jumpsuit at night? Doesn't say much?" The other tech laughed. "Oh, him? Yeah. The ghost of Bay 3. He's been around since the early 90s. You serious?" The tech shrugged. "Shows up. Does little stuff. Nobody tells him to. Nobody tells him to stop. No name? Dunno. Some say he used to fly. Others say he never left when his crew rotated. Probably just a retired wrench jockey who can't let go." Reyes didn't answer. But something about the way the man moved, deliberate, slow, listening more than looking, didn't feel like a ghost. It felt like a tether. Someone still connected to the machine. That night, Reyes found a fresh smear of grease across the aft stabilizer edge. Just one swipe. Not random. Like someone had traced it with their fingers, just to make sure it still remembered them. Reyes waited 3 nights before he said anything. The old man showed up again. Same hour, same walk. Straight line from the hangar shadows to bird 306 like there was no other reason for the airstrip to exist. He didn't carry a bag. Just the same gray rag. Same penlight. And the same strange ritual. Palm to metal. Pause. Listen. Not a check. Not a test. Almost like reverence. That night, Reyes stepped down off the wing when the man was halfway around the fuselage. Quiet boots on concrete. No flashlight. He didn't want to scare him. Didn't want to challenge him. Just stood there, arms folded, voice low. "You always touch the nose first?" The man didn't flinch. Didn't turn either. He finished tightening a clamp near the belly panel, wiped his hand, and said without looking up, "Metal tells you what it's hiding." Reyes blinked. "You mean corrosion?" "No. Strain. Stress. Stories." Finally, the man turned. His face was lined but clear. Late 50s maybe, early 60s. Eyes sharp, but not confrontational. The kind of calm that came from knowing too much to be impressed by noise. "You fly her?" Reyes asked. "No. But you know her." The man nodded once. "Longer than the logbook does." He stepped back from the jet, and looked at Reyes for a long moment. "You the new chief? Yeah. The man gave a slow nod, then reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. A valve cap. Nothing fancy. Just a minor part. But it was worn smooth with handling. He handed it over. Reyes took it. Turned it between his fingers. Throttle bleed off, he said quietly. The man nodded. She whispers when it's loose. Not loud, but enough. Then he stepped back into the dark. Reyes stayed with the bird for a while after that. Didn't climb up. Didn't run tests. Just stood under the wing and listened. He didn't hear anything. Not yet. But now he knew someone had. Next morning, Reyes ran a manual check on the throttle. Diagnostics red-green. Perfect pressure. But when he popped the side panel and pulled the secondary line, a single droplet of fluid trembled at the seam. Just one. Like it had been about to fail, but hadn't. Because someone had already tightened the cap. Hours before. Before the checklist. Before it became a problem. Reyes looked out across the tarmac. The strip was empty. But he felt it now, the quiet weight of someone who still cared enough not to speak. Later, as he logged the day's final entry, Reyes didn't mark the part as replaced. He wrote 2 words beside the bleed valve inspection line. Handled, quietly. The strip was louder that week. Scramble drills had been scheduled, high alert readiness runs with no margin for delay. Each team ran their jet through startup under stopwatch pressure. Reyes hated the tempo. Not because he couldn't keep up, but because the speed left no space for memory, for feel. And feel was where 306 lived. On Wednesday, one of the junior techs, Petty Officer Landon, was assigned to shadow Reyes. Smart boy. Fast hands. Cocky. He came from an F-35 program and treated the older Hornets like antiques. First thing he said walking up to Bird 306. This one yours? Reyes nodded. She's got a personality. Landon snorted. Yeah, so did my high school truck. Doesn't mean it belongs in the fleet. Reyes didn't answer. Just check the hydraulic seals. Landon followed behind, more out of boredom than duty. Then he spotted something near the intake, a smudge of cloth tucked beside the outer edge. Gray, faded, almost invisible. What is that? Reyes walked over, tugged it out. It was the old man's rag, still damp with oil. Landon laughed. You serious? Who's leaving shop towels in the turbine path? That's not just sloppy, that's dangerous. Reyes said nothing. Landon grabbed the rag and walked toward the trash bin. Reyes stepped in front of him. Don't. The younger man stopped. It's a rag, Chief. Reyes held his ground. It's a warning sign. That bolt it was sitting on. It was marked. You're saying someone's sabotaging the bird? No, Reyes said. I'm saying someone's listening to her more than the checklist does. Landon rolled his eyes and tossed the rag onto the bench. Whatever. Next time the ghost mechanic wants to leave clues, maybe he should use a Sharpie. Later that night, Reyes stayed late again. The old man didn't show. But the bolt in question, third from the nose gear, torque collar out by half a turn, had been corrected. No record. No badge scan. Just, handled. Reyes placed the rag back where he found it. Not to honor the man. To warn himself. Don't trust the green lights if your gut says amber. The next morning, 306 started 2 seconds faster than every other bird in the line. Didn't shake. Didn't sputter. Just breathed. Clean. Landon passed behind Reyes during startup. Muttered under his breath. Still think the rag helped? Reyes didn't turn. He just said quietly. If you can't hear the bird complain. Reyes said quietly. Someone else has been doing your job. Reyes had been working with aircraft long enough to know. Every machine has 2 histories. The one on record. And the one kept in silence. The Navy only reads the first. But people like the old man, they live inside the second. That weekend, the maintenance bay got cleared for inspection. Officers wanted spotless hangars, clean benches, and full compliance. Reyes volunteered to help move the older log crates, the ones most avoided. Hard copies. Oil-stained, clipped in steel boxes with faded labels. He didn't have a reason, just a feeling. In the back corner, under 2 stacked bins marked, Archive, Deact Birds. He found it. Box 306A. Dusty. Heavy. No digital tag. He popped the latch. Inside, loose pages. Manual flight logs, system reports, and old checklist sheets from years ago, before Reyes had even enlisted. He flipped past the usual until one name repeated enough to slow him down. Lieutenant Commander Joel D. Carver. Call sign. Soot. The pages were all dated between 2002 and 2006. Same tail number, same bird 306. One entry caught him. Bleed valve off by a click. No error code. Heard it on throttle push. Adjusted. Logged for crew chief. Leave note. Chalk mark behind the port gear. Reyes froze. The bleed valve. The same one he'd found fixed earlier that week. The one no one else noticed. He flipped another page. 306 still breathing fine. 5th run this week. Landing gear takes rough treatment but still loyal. Told Diaz to stop overcorrecting pitch trim. Jet knows what it wants. No formality. No decoration. Just intimacy. Like the pilot didn't fly the bird, he talked to it. Listened. The final sheet was dated June 2006. A brief note. Rotor bird clipped the rail. Ops said reparable. But I know 306. She's bruised. Not broken. Needs hands, not forms. Not flying her again. But I'll stay close. No signature. Just a single grease print. Index and middle finger. Stamped right across the margin. Reyes closed the file. Sat on the edge of the crate for a long time. Now he knew. The old man with the penlight and gray rag hadn't been a ghost. He was soot. He had flown 306. Hard. Long clean. Then stepped off the ladder and never left. Not because he had to. Because no one else knew her breathing the way he did. That night, Reyes waited at the edge of the strip. But Soot didn't come. He looked at the stars above the canopy and whispered low, "She still remembers you." Then Reyes climbed into the cockpit. Didn't start the jet. Just sat there, hand resting on the throttle. Felt the same silence Soot must have once felt. Not hollow. Just full of everything no logbook could capture. Monday came hot. Deck thermals shimmered before sunrise, and command briefed the crews harder than usual. There was talk of real-world readiness evaluations, of surprise flight audits, maybe even a visiting admiral. No one said it out loud, but the pressure sat like fog over the flight line. Reyes got there early. He wanted time. He walked the usual path to bird 306, left side first, like always, but stopped halfway down the fuselage. Someone had left something under the wing. A folded paper, pressed tight between the rear wheel and the gear panel, wrapped in the same gray cloth rag. He knelt, unfolded it. Not typed, not printed, handwritten, in pen, lines tight, precise, and familiar. 306 pre-flight, off-log. Breath check on port intake, listen for rhythm, not volume. Torque check on stabilizer collar, it slips when she's tired. Nose cone tap, 2 fingers, not knuckles, she responds better that way. Bleed valve seal, if it shines, it's not tight enough. Gear bay corner, she leaks only when lonely. Wipe the strut even if it looks clean. Never trust the screen over the sound. At the bottom, a single line. When the manual stopped talking, listen harder. There was no name. Didn't need one. Reyes folded the cloth around the note again. Not to hide it, to keep it steady. He tucked it inside his own tool pouch, slid it next to his torque gauge, and felt a strange tightness in his throat he couldn't shake. That day, one of the junior lieutenants came by during inspection. Saw Reyes crouched under the wing with a penlight, checking the intake ring manually. "What are you doing?" Reyes didn't look up. "Listening." The lieutenant scoffed. "You got diagnostics for that." Reyes smiled barely. Diagnostics don't know when she's lying. The bird flew clean that day. Start up on first cycle. Throttle response smooth. Even the NAV sync, which always hesitated by half a second, came up green without delay. She was ready. Not just checked. Known. That night, Reyes walked to the far end of the flight line, waited again for the shadow and green coveralls, but Soot never came. No footsteps. No penlight. No rag. Just the soft wind over steel, and the faint memory of a hand on the nose cone like someone saying, "I trust you." Reyes didn't turn on any lights. He just left the toolbox open, gray rag folded on top, like a seat left warm for someone who might return. Scramble day hit like a slammed door. No warning. 0500, klaxon blared across the deck. Pilots sprinted. Techs yanked covers. Everyone moved on instinct. Jets were expected to cycle up in under 3 minutes. Anything longer, and the drill marked it as a fail. Reyes was already at bird 306 when the alarm hit. Helmet on. Flight ladder locked. Panels clipped. He ran his hand across the fuselage once, the way Soot used to, like asking permission. She was cold, not broken, just hesitant. Pilot climbed in. Canopy dropped. Startup code initiated. Reyes gave the nod to begin cycle. Jet didn't respond. No flicker. No sound. No startup whine. No error message either, just the kind of stillness that didn't belong on a Navy airstrip. Chief? The pilot called through the intercom. Everything's dark up here. No spin, no sound. Reyes blinked, checked the master switch. Verified the master interrupt. Both fine. He looked up at the sky. Clouds were clear. Temp normal. He moved fast, checking every connection he knew, but something felt wrong, and it wasn't electrical. It was quieter than it should have been. The kind of quiet that didn't mean failure, it meant absence. Then he realized, soot hadn't been there last night. No print on the wheel well. No wipe on the stabilizer. No cloth under the wing. Nothing. Reyes ran to the nose cone. Tapped it twice with 2 fingers. Nothing. Not even an echo. He opened the forward panel. Took a breath. Then pulled out the folded cloth from his pocket. Unwrapped the off-log checklist. Went line by line. First, breath check on intake. He placed his hand beside the port intake. Closed his eyes. Waited. Nothing at first. Then, a slow pulse of air. Not flowing. Pressurized wrong. He checked the seal. 1 clip hadn't seated. Not enough to trigger a fault code, but enough to stop her heart. He clicked it into place. Next, torque check on stabilizer collar. 2 degrees loose. Not obvious, but enough to make her hold back. He tightened it by hand. Looked up. The pilot tapped his helmet. Try again? Reyes nodded. Go. This time, she breathed. Soft at first, then smooth. Turbine spun. Panel lit green. Full systems online. 306 had come back. They launched a minute behind schedule, but she left the deck clean. Straight. No sputter. No delay. Just like she used to. Just like someone had made sure she could. Reyes stood alone under the sunrise. Helmet off. List in his hand. Still no soot. Not even a shadow near the hangar door. But the air didn't feel empty. It felt carried. Like something had passed through. And left its shape behind. After Scramble Day, no one mentioned the delay. No formal reprimand. No side talk in the hangar. Not even the XO, who usually noted everything. Because 306 had flown smooth. And somehow, everyone felt that was the more important part. Reyes stayed behind that evening. Not to log paperwork. Not to tighten bolts. Just to walk the line. His boots echoed soft across the bay. Same paths it used to walk, same quiet between each bird. He stopped at 306 and stood for a long time at the intake, his hand flat on the edge. The metal was warm, but it didn't feel mechanical. It felt like breath held, like memory. He pulled out the handwritten checklist again, read it once, then folded it into a new sheet of his own. Beneath the last line, he added, 8. If she hesitates, don't force her. Ask what she needs. Then slipped it back into the cloth, and into his pouch. Later that week, another tech approached him on the deck. Young. New to the post. He was crouched near bird 214, frowning at the turbine sensor. Hey, Chief? Got a minute? Reyes walked over. What's the issue? I'm getting green on diagnostics, but the spin down feels wrong. Slower than usual, like she's dragging. Reyes listened to the last whine of the engine. Narrowed his eyes. Check the inner bleed valve. It's not the spin, it's the balance. But the log says? Reyes cut him off gently. Don't ask the log. Ask the sound. They opened the valve. Tiny mineral buildup. Enough to change the rhythm. Not enough to trigger the system alert. The young tech stared at it. How'd you know? Reyes didn't answer at first. Then, I used to think only people spoke when they were in pain. And now? Now I know machines do too. You just have to let them. He kept walking the line that night. Same rhythm. Same quiet stops. The crew started to notice how their birds started smoother, how fewer faults came up on cold start, how Reyes began catching things no scan ever flagged. He never told them about soot. Never pointed to the checklist. But when someone new joined the hangar, Reyes handed them a laminated slip of paper. 1 line only. Listen. She'll tell you before she breaks. No badge. No rank. Just the first thing Soot had ever taught him, in silence. They never found out where he went. No base transfer. No debrief log. No medical evac or retirement line. Just gone. 1 week after Scramble Day, the green jumpsuit didn't walk the strip. The penlight didn't flicker under the fuselage. The rag never returned to the wing strut, but something stayed. Reyes felt it in the gaps between the shift change and the sunrise, when the air still carried salt and jet fuel and something quieter beneath. He kept using the checklist. So did 2 other crew chiefs, unprompted. Not because he told them to. Because they saw the difference. The jets ran cleaner, started faster, landed smoother. Even the officers noticed. 306 hadn't needed a maintenance delay in over a month. One commander asked what had changed. Reyes said, "We stopped listening to the screen." One morning, during an early walk of the bay, Reyes found something tucked inside 300 and SIXS avionics bay. Not hidden. Placed. A folded sheet. Cloth-wrapped. He opened it slowly. Inside, one more line added to the checklist. Different pen. Not his handwriting. 9. If she flies smooth, leave her alone. You've done enough. No name. Just a faint smudge of 2 fingers. Grease and oil. Pressed like a signature across the corner. Reyes smiled, just a little. Didn't show the others. Didn't log the paper. Just folded it again and sealed it into the toolbox. Same one Sid used to leave open. Then he walked the line like he always did. Stopping. Listening. Letting the machines breathe. A new crew chief joined later that month. Fresh boots. Quick salute. "Chief Reyes," she said. "You've got a rep for flying clean birds." He shrugged. "Jets just like being heard." She tilted her head. "By who?" He handed her a worn, laminated card. "Listen. She'll tell you before she breaks." She looked at it. No logo. No chain of command. Just the rule that still kept steel in the sky. Reyes walked away without waiting for thanks. He had a checklist to follow. Not from the manual. From the man who never left it behind.